I want to review two very effective strategies when it comes to real estate: 1031 exchanges and the BRRRR strategy. Let's get started with 1031s. It's a strategy to help real estate investors defer some of their taxes. So in the example I'm going to show you with the property we just sold, I had a property that I sold for $350,000. So my basis on this property was around $200,000. And this is very common in the real estate market, especially with all the appreciation. Properties have gone up a lot. So in this situation, that's $150,000 in taxes that when I sold that, I'm going to have to pay next year. And let's just assume it's at a 20% tax rate. That's $30,000 tax bill I could potentially be hit with next year. So you have 45 days. Once that I buy this property, I have 45 days to identify my next property, actually. So I don't have to close it. I actually have 180 days to close on the next property. But after 45 days, I have to identify it. And you can usually identify 3 different properties. You just have to pick them within 45 days. And then you have to close it by 180 days. So you have to be what we call trading up. You have to be buying something bigger. A lot of times in real estate, you start off with your single family house that you bought. And then maybe now you're ready for a duplex or maybe a fourplex. So now you could take that $150,000, and let's just assume that that's actually what I'm going to have once I pay off my loan and everything. That $150,000, now I can go put this into a down payment on a bigger property. I want to use all my cash, I'm going to roll it in, and I'm going to put 25% down. So what I could do is I could put $150K down, 75% loan to value. That's going to get me into a $600,000 property. So now I've traded up. So I've satisfied this because it's actually larger value. And I went from my asset worth $350,000 to one worth $600,000. So if I'm finding the right asset, I probably are going to have even more cash flow. And so as long as I hold this property, you don't pay the taxes. But if I sell this next property and I don't do another 1031 exchange, I'll pay taxes. But the thing is, a lot of people just keep doing it. So the $600,000 property in 5-10 years, I'll go buy a bigger property and just keep trading up and keep trading up. And you can actually keep trading up until you're ready to hand it into a trust or hand it down to your kids, for example. This is the BRRRR strategy. I want to show you an example of a deal we just did to illustrate it really well. This is the most efficient BRRRR strategy we've ever done. I wish I could say they're all like this. They're definitely not. It took us years to find a good deal like this and do it this effectively. But when done, it is one of the most effective ways to invest in real estate. So ideally, you're going to want to buy under market value. In this case, because of our marketing, we found this property that it just made sense to sell for these people at $165,000. So typically on the BRRRR strategy, you're going to go rehab it and fix it all up. And that's how you're going to get some of this appreciation and get the value up. In this case, it was really cool. This house, we actually didn't have to do anything other than get inside, clean it up. There was a tenant living in there. We had to make some repairs. So the rehab was really minor, but we paid cash, $165,000, bought the house. Soon after, I went to a bank and I said, hey, I would like to refinance this house. So the bank went and ordered an evaluation. The valuation came back at $235,000 is what that house was worth based on the market, the way the market's been going. So that bank is actually going to give me a loan for 75% of the appraised value. So I got a loan for $176,000. I just got all my cash back and actually a little bit of cushion. There were closing costs. I'm ignoring some of that. But the last R is the rent. So now that I purchased this house is actually renting for $1,350 per month. I actually manage it myself, which a lot of people can do too. We rent it out for $1,350 a month, and we have this loan at 75%. Our rate was around 5-6%. We got a 30-year amortization, and our cash flow, when it's all said and done, is actually $180 per month. Now I've got $176,000 ready to go for the next deal. And we've completed the BRRRR strategy. So not everybody tells you about this, and we had to learn it the hard way, is getting this refinance done. There is a lot of banks that will not do this. They will say, hey, we see you just bought the house for $165,000. Now it's worth 235. Like not every bank is comfortable with that. And a lot of times they're going to just only go off of this number. What helps you though is if you paid cash for it, then I've found a lot of banks, it's not as big of a deal. If you paid cash and then you approach them with, hey, I want to order an appraisal, I want to figure out how much this house is worth, and then finance based off that. Well, think about that other deal that I was just telling you about. Back to this 1031 exchange. So when we sold this, we had $150,000 we had to deploy and buy the next property. But the only kind of downside was when you go buy that next property with your 1031 exchange, this $150,000 I never really got to touch. The awesome part was we took that $150,000 and what we did is we put it into this BRRRR. We put it into this house I just told you about, and we bought it for $165,000. So we added an additional $15,000. We did this whole process, then we got $176,000 back. So now I just completed my 1031 exchange. I'm not going to have to go back and pay this. Remember we talked about that capital gain of say 20%. If we didn't do this, next year I'm going to pay $30,000. I deferred it. And then I bought this next property, got another property, refinanced it, got the cash out, and I have another rental property that's making $180 a month. I'm paying down my mortgage. I'm getting tax benefits. I grew the portfolio. And again, now the last R, I've got $176,000 ready to go. Repeat the strategy and do it again.